told them that voting is what we call democracy. It's a representation of the things that you need and the goods for society. I probably was about 13, 14 years old. Now, I lived in Texas. I went to high school there. And my uncle, he always voted, but he had to pay a particular price, and I can't remember how much it was, to get what they call a poll tax in order to vote. But also at that time, I realized too, just talking to my friends around in school, there were a lot of people who did not vote because they didn't have the money to buy to pay the poll tax to vote. So, and that was set up intentionally by states because the federal government allowed states to set some of their rules and regulations for voting. So many people were eliminated from that. Louisiana and Arkansas were also had an opportunity to, when I was teaching and would travel to those states and all, a lot of those states had tests, not only the poll tax, they had some little tests that people had to take. And when people didn't have the good education, and some of the tests and some of the questions were almost like a college thesis question. And so it eliminated a lot of people, which was the intent of the state's laws. Well, the Voters' Rights Act, especially for African Americans in 1965, reinforced the 15th Amendment, which was already there for years but had been violated. And what the Voters' Rights Act did was put a lot of control into the federal government, where the federal government went in and took over voters' registrations and voting. And that was one of the big issues that Dr. King worked in. In my opinion and my observation, I don't personally think that public schools especially put enough emphasis, not all, but many of them do not put enough emphasis on the right to vote, registrations, how important it is for representation, how that vote represents their need, how the vote represents their society needs, their neighborhood needs, their family needs, having someone to represent them in what we call our democracy of self-governing. And I've spent a lot of my retirement doing volunteer work with nonprofit organizations. My mission is to try to give back for all of the things that I've enjoyed, and someone else made the reason that I was able to enjoy them. So it's to try to make my little corner of the earth a little better.